Hello, this is Action Hank introducing PowerUp Podcast 21. I mistakenly called it 22 at the start of the interview, but in this podcast I interview Keits. We talk about some CES strategy, the current commentating stuff he's been doing for EVO and Seasons beatings, and we talk a lot about his new favorite game, TVC. He's really trying to push that out there. Hopefully this might get some people inspired to check out TVC, and also I'd like to see all you guys up here at the PowerUp tournament at Arcade Legends in Cincinnati in May. It's definitely going to be a good time, and Arcade Legends is a great place. So, see you guys later. PowerUp Podcast 22 now, I believe. And my guest here is Adam Hart, aka Keits. How you doing?
Hello.
How's it going?
Thank you for saying my name correctly.
What didn't I mispronounce?
People say Keats the funny way.
Oh, what now? Sorry, your mic kind of cut.
People say kinds of funny ways, like kite or kiss, or I don't know how else you would pronounce it other than Keats, but I get all kinds of weird stuff.
Okay. I think that's how it's spelled. So, just to introduce you, I guess, to the community, how long have you been playing fighting games? What's your current record right now?
Oh shit. Let's see. At my, I want to say middle school, they used to do this thing where we would all gather at a skating rink and skate in circles together a few times a year.
Gay?
Yeah. And one time I went there and they had Street Fighter II: The World Warriors, and I was in love, just like everybody else. Of course, there was no competition.
Who do you use back
My
then?
life, a long time. I just picked anybody. I loved everybody. The game was just so beautiful.
Uh-huh.
The first thing I did was memorize all the characters' names and start learning more about what they do. And then, everybody has that realization that there are special moves that you can actually input, because you see somebody throw a fireball, but you don't know how they did it.
Right,
And
yeah, I
how
remember
they did it. And then, so, you start thirsting for knowledge. The internet's not really prevalent around then, and I could really only play it when I went to that skating rink or when I saw it at another arcade. And then...
And how old were you then?
Oh, boy, I was probably in 6th or 7th grade,
Oh, man,
so...
little Keats.
Yep. And then I was one of the kids who got a Genesis instead of a Super Nintendo, so I had to wait for the 6-button controller and the Championship Edition version of that to come out. But I got my birthday, and then I started to really dig in, and it wasn't more than a couple weeks before not a single of my friends could beat me, even 1 out of 50 games. So
Awesome.
I got bored, needless to say, and started seeking out arcade competition and found people who could beat me, and then got better than them too, and then didn't really hit my stride with competitive gaming until I would say I met Brian Ballinger at Dave & Buster's in Tri-County over Marvel Superheroes.
There?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter Cabinet. We were playing that.
Oh man, that one's
Yep.
that one's
I know.
terrible.
We were playing and having a good time, and he seemed reasonable, and I didn't really have any friends outside of my own high school at that point, and I was like, well, I got Japanese Saturn and X-Men vs. Street Fighter at home. You should come over sometime, because none of my friends are any good. So we hit it off, and he became, one of my best friends of all time for many, many, many years.
Uh-huh.
He has kids now and a wife, so he doesn't really play anymore, but we definitely miss him.
Yeah.
That
And
started
This was all in Cincinnati, right?
Yep, this is all in Cincinnati. It's my hometown. This started my trend of finding new players in the arcade to bring home to play, and then we had the first, I decided we had enough people eventually. We had 8 people. I was like, we should have a fucking tournament, see who's the Grand Master.
Yeah.
So I think the first UFGT was actually on my birthday, because that was the only way I could convince my mom to let me have that many people over at once.
Uh-huh.
And we had 9 or 10 people over, and we ran tournaments for every game that we had on every system, and we had the Dreamcast at that point, so we were playing
Was there
won.
like an entry fee, or I mean?
No, it's just all for fun, and we gave
Okay.
away a couple like lame-o prizes, and everybody had a good time. So I did it again, and then I did it a third time, and at that point we had like 12 or 14 people, and then SRK was kind of becoming an interesting way to meet people. We had met a few people at UC who we had never heard of, who had been playing fighting games in our city all along. It's just we never ran into them,
Yeah.
So we finally, like John Douglas was the first one we met. Blue New, you know him?
Yeah, I know John Douglas is. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him on the SRK forums, and we let's invite this kid over. So we invited him over to our house. He was on campus, and we were living in a communal house, me and Josh Queen. He's one of the others, the OGs.
I
got to call
I was going to get some stories from you a little bit later about that.
The Cincinnati OGs, I guess, would be myself, and then Brian Ballinger, and then we met Alex Wessel, Scott Carlisle, and Davey at Kings Island, and then we met Josh Queen at Kings Island, and he brought Chris Rose in, and then we met this guy Paul at Kings Island as well, and that's probably the 8 of us right there.
Now, did you do any posting on, like, I know SRK wasn't like a IRC kind of back, like alt.games.sf or something like that?
Right, they had the news group there. I did read it a couple times, but never really posted it. And I was really at the tail end of that when I discovered it. It was kind of shutting down, and I did lurk on the IRC for a while, and I talked a little bit here and there. And then SRK went up one day, and it was a really different beast then than it is now. It was very homey site. It was really more dedicated to the West Coast guys than being more of a universal place for people to come.
Yeah.
But it evolved over the next couple years, and like I said, we went on there and we started looking, we put up a post. We're like, is anybody else in Cincinnati? And we found John Douglas, Blue New, and he introduced us to his group of friends. He had Joe Fry and Alex Mowry and Ryan Colantuna.
That's name.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, Mao and Tuna and Fry, all those guys were on kind of his side of the community there. And I was like, suddenly we have 20 players in Cincinnati. Now it's time to hold the tournament and post it. So we posted the information on the internet for the first time and made it an open tournament. It's not just for my friends; it's for anybody who wants to show up.
Is this another UFGT?
Yep, this was the first public UFGT. This was held out of my communal house in Clifton. It's called the Tri-State Tour Edition. We found some guys in Columbus, Jose Yado, who did all the art and the website for me.
That's Poon,
awesome
right?
guy. Yep, Poon.
Yep.
And he made the art just amazing. He made T-shirts and sold them at the event. I think we had something like 28 or 30 people show up to my communal house in the dead of winter. It was freezing. The heat was not working at my house, so we played DDR to keep warm. And
oh man, I bet that house.
Space heaters pointed at. Oh, dude, yeah. We had space heaters pointed at people's joysticks while they played. So,
wow.
And
no pieces melted there when they were playing.
Oh man, all kinds of people I'd never met before showed up. We got guys from Indiana showing up, and we got Funk Doc from Cleveland showing up.
Yeah.
And his parents are the most amazing people. They came in and they were like, "So the entry fee's $10, right?" I'm like, "Yep." And they're like, "Well, here's 50 for each of our kids, just because we love what you're doing."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Holy shit!" Their contribution pretty much helped me not lose money on that tournament.
That's awesome.
I always lose a little money on a tournament. At least I did in the past. But yeah, I mean, it was a different beast back then too. I was really against the idea of playing for money because I thought it brought out the worst in people. And, it really doesn't in general, but I had that impression because of a few certain Cincinnati personalities, particularly Josh Queen. Who would get mighty angry.
Yeah. I was going to say, playing for money, tell that to Tone and Fanatic, from
I know, yeah.
Apparently they're supposed to be running that back. What
yeah, my tune on that has changed dramatically over the years, but in its inception, the UFGT tournaments, which stood for Ultimate Fighting Game Tournament, was a big weekend-long it was a big weekend-long multi-game tournament. We would get through 12 games usually.
What were the games like? Can you
everything available on Dreamcast?
Okay, so we're talking
JoJo's, Guilty X, Third Strike, Marvel 2, Marvel 1, ST, Vampire Chronicles, everything. We played everything.
Ready to Rumble?
We did stay away from the 3D stuff most of the time,
okay.
but we played almost everything that we could find that was 2D.
Gotcha.
And I gotta say, piracy on the Dreamcast really helped that come true.
Yeah. Definitely have a couple
King of
stacks
Fighters
of
90.
CDs.
We played a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, it was mandatory entry. You pay one entry fee, and you were automatically entered in every game. And then you received some sort of Grand Prix style points to your total score, and whoever had the most points at the end was not only the champion of the few games he won, but he was also the ultimate fighting game champion of the weekend.
Okay.
And then we had, I would spend a whole bunch of money buying amazingly cool toys and prizes to give away instead of having cash prizes. And the people who were the highest up on the rankings got to choose their prizes first. So you kind of got pick of the litter. People were like, "Oh man, I can't wait to get that 12-inch Akuma figure," or whatever. But you had to place pretty high to have even a shot at picking that. And the people who were at the bottom got everybody left with something. The person who got 32nd place still went home with something in his hands and felt good about himself, and I really liked that. I got I was working at EB Games at the time. I got 12 pairs of Maximo's boxers, with the hearts on them and shit. I gave that shit away at my tournaments. People loved it. It was awesome.
Nice. At
the last UFGT, we even had Bison dollars. Legit.
I have one in my wallet, actually.
Yeah, probably.
I have a Bison buck. All right, so to catch the viewers up to speed here on the current thing, what games are you mainly playing now and entering tournaments for?
Sure. Well, I'm fairly well known as a generalist. Especially in my heyday, I ran tournaments for every game. When I showed up to a tournament, I entered every game. It didn't matter what it was or if I even played it. It's like, I'm going to make the most of my travel dollar. If I'm here, I'm just going to enter. Because there's something I can learn, I'm sure of it. But yeah, I moved to Wisconsin in 2002, and there was no scene up here in Green Bay and Appleton, so I quit for 3 years. And then one of the Indiana guys, Gookie Poo, said, "You got to come to Midwest Championships this year. I haven't seen you in forever. It's closer to you than it is to me. Just show up." I was like, all right. So I showed up, and he actually didn't show up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I know him from an Indiana tournament.
Yep. Anyway, I showed up. He didn't, and I brought a troop of novices from Green Bay, so
that
they could.
This year, right?
That was in 2007.
Oh, okay.
It was a while ago, and then I qualified for ST because they did top 8 qualifiers for Evo for lots of different games that year. I got 7th in ST, so Seth Killian pulled me aside, and he's like, "You got to come to Evo now." And I was like, "Yeah, I've been meaning to go my whole life, but this was the excuse I needed to make it happen." So
that's cool.
Made it happen. Went there, and I played every game again. I participated in lots of side tournaments. I became the World Heroes Perfect Champion, etc., etc.
Doesn't Josh the Funk Doc kind of hold that title too?
World Heroes Perfect Champ?
Yeah, isn't he a?
Yeah, he beat me the year after.
Oh, okay. Now I was gonna ask, who did you use in ST? Then were you
Chun.
using Cammy? Oh, Chun.
No,
okay.
I was using Chun. Cammy's garbage in ST.
Right.
I can do her fun stuff in ST. I can perform the motions. I can do everything that you see her do in HDR. It's just, it doesn't work as well.
Right. Okay, so you went to Midwest Championships in 2007. Have you been back ever since?
Yep, every year. I haven't missed it yet, and I have been to every Evo since 2007. I'll never miss it again.
Cool.
I've done some work for them now as well. So
yeah, I was definitely going to ask about your commentating.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little later. But yeah, right now I am in a place where I do a lot of reading and video watching, but I don't play as much because there's really no scene, and I'm not too fond of the online play available to me. So I would say right now I'm a better coach than I am a player.
Right.
You really need to, if you want to be a top player, you really have to split your time correctly between actually playing the game and then seeking information about the game outside of it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very disproportionate right now. I'm spending a lot more time seeking information than I am actually playing. And that results in a lot of input errors, a lot of really rookie mistakes that I make when I go to tournaments. But
you gotta get the hell out of Wisconsin and come back to
no shit.
Cincinnati.
Well, I'll go somewhere. I don't know if it'll be Cincinnati. I may be moving to the West Coast. We'll see.
Oh, and don't we all want to move either there or Japan? It's like every fighting gamer's dream.
Yep. But I'm playing Street Fighter 4. I actually got top 8. I got 7th place at the St. Louis tournament recently.
Aerial Rave.
Yep, and then I'm playing TVC when I have competition, so it's pretty much a game I only bust out at tournaments.
Right. I was going to ask you, how do you really, I mean, it is a combo game, but of course you still need to play it, that being able to practice combos won't, help you
Right.
when you enter a real game. How do you practice for?
Well, the
Cats?
the combos, and I don't know. I have like this unique ability to learn something without doing it. Like I can kind of practice it in my head, and then when I put it into practice, it just comes out really easily. I don't know why or how that works, but I don't really require a lot of practice to learn a combo and remember it forever. So if I've done the combo once, generally speaking, if it's not something that's ridiculously difficult, like a one-frame link, I'm gonna get it 99% of the time.
Okay.
With or without practice.
Now,
so that's pretty much how I go into a TVC tournament. It's just I'm doing the same old shit I've done. I'm hoping it still works on people. I'm really working my basics, which is what a lot of the kids lack today.
Yeah, it's true. Fundamentals.
Yeah, and mine aren't the best either because of where I've lived in the past, But they're certainly better than a lot of the guys out there who are the upstarts, who have better execution than me, but they still don't know how to block.
Right. Okay, so I guess we can move into Tatsunoko then. Who do you main in TVC, and will that change when the U.S. version comes out? And also,
yes.
what made you kind of latch on to these characters?
When it came out, I had these theory teams. I was like, oh, I'm gonna play Joe and Polymer, and then I got in there and started to find out that I don't like these characters.
Yeah.
They look cool, but Joe's really vanilla. He's excruciatingly boring to play as. And then I like Polymer, but the input system gives him problems. Sometimes I'll jump back and then try and air dash forward, and it gives me his 360 super.
Oh.
And that makes me rip my own hair out of my skull.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that TVC also has the easy inputs.
TVC's easy inputs make Street Fighter 4 look godlike.
Really?
TVC's
I didn't know it was that bad.
So bad.
You'll
dash under someone and try and jab them out of the air and get a random DP. I hit forward, which became backward because I went under them, and I get a DP.
Wow.
That doesn't even make sense.
No, that doesn't. Are they changing that in the U.S. version?
Yes, it is much better. It is a complaint loudly heard, and in the latest build that I played, it is much better. I was not getting those results. So, but yeah, I had to experiment a lot to find my teams. I was doing Alex Polymer for a while as kind of my low tier team, and then I discovered the big synergy between Roll and Cashern, so I play them. And then my main team ended up being Tekkaman and Jun the Swan, because they have just really amazing synergy in their team combos and some of the things that they can do that's really tricky. Plus, Jun really can go through meter with me, and Tekkaman really doesn't need it. So it's kind of nice to have him battery for her, etc., etc. And then just Tekkaman is not an easy character. He's a dirt easy character to win with, but he's not obvious how to do it right away. So a lot of the Tekkaman players out there really aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. He can punish a lot of stuff. He can punish a lot of stuff with push block, standing B. This just reaches super far that makes even seasoned players' eyes pop out. I'll play Karasa from St. Louis, who's definitely better than me at TVC, and I'll just punish the wackiest shit with that. And he's just like, what? How's that even possible? That move's so slow. I'm like, you didn't know,
Yeah.
You gotta watch out. And then his jumping C, people use it as an ambiguous cross-up and blah, 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 but you can layer it with assists, and you can do it so that it only hits once on the way down, and you can do it so it hits twice on the way down, so they have to block high twice or once, and then follow it up by a low. And if you put your assist in the right place, there's no way out of that guessing game.
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of times where I'll get lucky and kill one character with Tekkaman, and then it's a 50-50 guess on your incoming character. If you block wrong and I have any Baroque at all, I'll 100% you in one combo.
Right. Now, how when it comes to meter conservation, I'm pretty basic at TVC because I've only played it maybe a handful of times. I'll just try and do a launcher into super after a little mini combo. But I mean, how important is Baroque to winning, and how important is bursting and saving that meter for the burst to winning? I know characters like Karis can do infinites off of a burst, can't he?
Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, you can combo off a burst, and a burst only costs 2 meters, and really, you don't want to go below 2 meters in that game if you can avoid it, or unless it puts you in like a surefire good position. Like I would sacrifice enough meter to go below 2 if I knew I was going to kill a character.
Uh-huh.
But if it's not going to kill a character, I'm waiting. I'll find another opportunity because you want to be ready. Because if someone touches you in that game, that could be the end.
Right.
You could be infinited, or you could just be Baroque killed right away.
Will you sometimes go for level 3? Will you save up for level 3s? I know June's isn't that great as far as damage goes.
June's combos well, but the damage is bad. I probably use it 1 in 100 matches tops.
Okay.
It's
Tekkaman,
not something
any use there for his? I don't even think I've seen his level 3, to be honest.
It's useless. Yeah, it's bad.
No, that's why I haven't seen it.
But I can get level 3 damage with 2 levels with that team. That's one of the reasons I play them.
Oh, okay.
Tekkaman's got that really slow super where he kind of makes the disco lights come out.
Oh, the Make It Rain super? Yeah.
Yep, make it super. It's incredibly slow, but if you do a simple air combo into June's level 1 whip super, the second to last hit of that puts them into a free fall state that ends when she detonates the bombs. So you can cancel into the Make It Rain super, DHC into that at the last second before the bombs go off, and they're still in free fall, and they fall right into it, and they eat the whole thing, which yields usually above level 3 damage on 2 levels, and gets me a safe tag. So it's something you see from me a lot, and you won't see from me a lot in the new version because they nerfed DHC damage really bad.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask now, and the bombs also will stay on them, right? Because you call June out and she doesn't detonate them? So
Correct.
Okay.
But I almost never get to set them off.
Okay. Yeah, so you said that you're going to be changing teams.
There's just so many changes in the new version. June can do some new interesting stuff, but I really feel that Tekkaman got nerfed. His bread and butter damage, which was the biggest non-Baroque, non-super bread and butter in the game, does even more damage now, but his launcher got nerfed in such a way that the range is more of kind of a sweet spot. If they're too close to you now, it just whiffs. And it's going to take a long time to kind of relearn that range, whereas before it was like if they were too far, it whiffed, but if they were too close, it still hit anyway. And on top of that, he just, like, a lot of the characters got a few new things, and they just feel better, and he feels the same, except for now, some of his tricks with DHCs and stuff, they just don't do as much damage. And he's my damage powerhouse, so it's like, if you're not going to do what I have you on the team for, you're off. Yeah. You're done. And I really liked his assist anyway. I never really got used to comboing with it, so whatever.
Are you going to be using Tekkaman Blade then? Or?
I think so. I think it's going to be June Tekkaman Blade unless I find something else I really like. Joe the Condor looks pretty interesting. I didn't get a chance to try him, but he's a possibility.
Was he not at Seasons meetings in the booth?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is Seth Killian hosting any other like events where he'll have like a more updated version that people can try, kind of like how he did the Tekken?
I don't really have any information on that. I can assume if they do another Fight Club that they'll have it there, but I would imagine that they're done showing it off until release. Other than at gaming conventions and things that they show up to. Yeah. So we'll have to wait, but release isn't that far away. It's January 12th, I think, or something.
Okay. Now I know at Susan's meetings, you guys kind of. I mean, until he busted out the new version, there was a little bit of interest in the new version. I mean, I really couldn't make my way back there too much because I had a lot of Street Fighter 4 going on. But and on Friday night it was just Third Strike. But did a lot of people stop by the booth and check it out? Was there pretty good interest for it, or?
There were a lot of people who tried it once and had a good time but didn't feel like hanging out there because they didn't know how to play. And then there was basically a stream of regulars, probably the same 20 people repeatedly who were just playing the hell out of it because they already knew how to play the Japanese version and really got a lot out of the test version there. The game is fantastic. It really is. And I urge anyone who already owns a Wii to get it. Even if you don't love it, just to support Capcom.
Yeah.
If you don't own a Wii, I understand not wanting to buy a system for one game. I get that. But really, if this game doesn't sell well in the States, it's going to send a big message to Capcom. And that message is probably not the one that is logical. The logical one is, hey, Wii fighting games don't sell. But the message they're going to get is non-Street Fighter fighting games don't sell. And then they're probably going to stop trying.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how with this new version coming out, even though it's marketed in the U.S. and they've got some more familiar characters, I mean, I know I know that I think what are the elements you think besides being? I think the biggest one overall is the fact that it's on the Wii. But do you think the fact that they use Tatsunoko characters also makes it a little less appealing to American audiences, or
Maybe, but you didn't know who Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li were when you first walked up to the Street Fighter 2 machine. You just saw a beautiful and a fun game.
It's true.
So I really hope people don't qualify what game they purchase based on whether or not they know the characters in it, because that's a really closed-minded way to live your life.
Yeah, there's Capcom characters in there that
there's just familiar Capcom, and you're going to end up really liking the style of some of the Tatsunoko characters. Sure, they all look like they're the same because they're wearing a helmet and a white jumpsuit, but they really have a lot of personality. And you won't see that until you turn the game on and start screwing around with it yourself. And if you hate them, just play the Capcom cast, because they're pretty diverse and good too. But, the reason that game is so unique and fun is definitely the Baroque system. And it's the most liberal implementation of a Roman cancel system I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
They want you doing this shit all the time.
Clearly.
Well, it was weird because, the first few weeks the game was out, people were saving up for a very simple, big Baroque combo. They'd save up a big amount of red life, which increases the damage of your combo. They'd do a simple 3 or 4 hit ground combo, then Baroque, which activates the damage bonus and the Roman cancel. Dash in, repeat the same ground combo into a launcher, do the air combo into the super. And, do 3/4 of a character's life with that. That was kind of the thing. But as the game evolved, using Baroque to do risky things and keep them safe, or to create really confusing situations, became kind of the norm. Ryu's looking to land an overhead, which doesn't lead into anything but level 1 super, unless you Baroque. If he Baroques his overhead, he gets a full ground into air combo off of it. Ryu's will walk straight up to you, do a jab, and then pause for a second, and then they'll do a random Shoryuken. And if you stuck something out, you get hit. If you blocked it, they Baroque at the top of that arc of the jab Shoryuken, and then they attack on the way down, so it becomes an instant overhead.
It sounds a little familiar. Ryu canceling his Shoryuken to make it safe.
Yeah, but not only safe, he's turning it into an instant overhead that he can combo off of. So it's
so maybe FADC Ultra isn't the worst implementation
No.
of...
But this is cool because any character can use this creatively. And if you watch the high-level TVC coming out of Japan, they're so creative with the spots in which they decide to cancel what they're doing and mix you up.
Now, was TVC at SBO this year?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was last year, but I don't know if they're getting the new version in the arcade or not, or if they're going to want to run that again.
Yeah,
but
like
it was
really splitting up kind of the U.S. and Japanese. I mean, before we were all kind of playing the same games. It was just a difference between arcade and console, but now you're getting games with console-specific characters, and
right.
I have no idea if this new version is going to be is it going to be released over in Japan, or are they?
Yes,
okay.
They are getting it for Wii, but I don't know if they're getting an arcade version. And the thing is, if there's no arcade version, generally Japan won't compete.
Right.
And unless that changes, then if Capcom decides that arcade is dead and they don't want to do it anymore, then we could really just have a collapse of the Japanese fighting game community, and really not see them coming over here to compete anymore, which would get rid of some of the really fun, nationalistic rivalries that we have.
You won't get the Justin versus Daigo because there's just not going to.
Dude, everybody cheers against Justin because they will want the underdog to win, unless he's playing someone from Japan, and they start cheering for him.
Right.
USA.
Hell yeah, Evo was great, being there, having him pick Balrog and the American, the American robe there. But
if you see a match like Justin Wong versus Yeb, or Jibbo, or someone playing again, everybody's rooting against Justin.
Oh yeah.
But then suddenly Justin's playing Daigo, and suddenly Justin is the one being cheered for. So I mean, it's cool that we can, I know people like to root for the underdog, but it's cool people can put that aside and root for the home team.
I would say Justin Wong is very much the underdog still when talking about
Daigo. versus Daigo for sure.
I mean,
but there are other Japanese players.
We saw that massacre that was the first to 10 at Seasons Beatings in person. That was not. Oh man, that was pretty bad. So
yeah.
But I actually didn't stick around for the finals. I had to get home. But I heard I watched some of the stream, and it looked like Justin was at least giving him. He beat him in winners finals, and then he was giving him a good run for his money. in
Yeah.
grand finals. So, you know, I don't get what happened there with the first to 10. I really can't understand why he picked Rufus as many times as he did. I was just like shaking my head, like, what are you doing? But you know, all right. So moving on there, do you think this U.S. release of TVC is gonna really? Do you think it's gonna boost the community? I mean, do you think more people?
No.
No, really.
Honestly, I don't think it's going to sell well, but I really hope it does. And I've been doing my part to promote it and make sure people are aware that it's an awesome game. I will be putting out a new line of video tutorials for the new version when it comes out, so look forward to that.
What's your YouTube
last
page?
time,
So
it's YouTube/ROCKEITS Rock Keits. For the Japanese version, I only put out a systems primer, which basically ran down how all the different systems worked, since you didn't really have instructions in English.
Mm-hmm.
Told you how to Baroque, how to, Advanced Guard, how to Mega Crash, etc., etc., to get you familiar and get you playing right away. It's kind of a foreign concept that the same button can combo into itself with different directions a lot, which is something that happens in TVC.
Right.
Like you can combo standing C into crouching C into forward C, so you get 4 fierces or 3 or 4 fierces in one combo. And unless somebody showed you that, you probably wouldn't figure it out right away.
Right, and it seems like the games that have more minimal buttons start to use a lot more stick movements in combos.
Yep, a lot more directional normals. But yeah, I'm going to redo this basic primer, and we're going to go over the basics again, and then we're going to start doing some character-specific primers on the characters that changed the least. Like Ryu has virtually no changes in the US version, because he was pretty much perfect the way he was. He does a little less damage now, but otherwise he's pretty much exactly the same. And, we'll run down some of the familiar characters first, so that we can take some time to figure out the new characters and the characters that got the bigger changes, and then we'll do some tutorials for them as well. So definitely, I'm trying to give everybody an easier point of entry. I know it's going to be hard for people to find competition, and I want people to be able to play. Can you hang on one second? I got a phone call.
Oh, okay, yeah. Edit this section out in Audacity. Reminder, Adam, turn this section off in Audacity. There we go. Okay, cool.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
All right, I can edit that part out.
Yeah.
All right,
it's
cool.
fine.
So I guess moving on, since you do say you play Street Fighter 4 and you did pretty well at Aerial Rave, and how'd you do at Midwest Championships overall this year?
At Midwest, I think I was 2 wins away from top 8, something like that. I played okay. I have some timing issues when I switched to the PS3 version, because I play the 360 version.
I do too. I play on 360, and I feel like I understand it's the same game, and I know I've seen the video of I think it was Saber that tested it.
Yep.
Just testing the frame differences. That wouldn't really be enough to make a difference, but I truly feel like Xbox is just, in terms of combo timing, is just faster.
Yeah. There's something going on. Yeah. Because I miss my shit on PS3 all the time, and I never miss that same stuff on 360.
Yeah, I'll do short, triple short into scissors, and 100% on every time on 360, and then I'll go to the arcade, and it's all PS3s there, and it'll be, I know the person's going to be trying to mash out Shoryuken in between this string, so I want to make sure I get it right, and sometimes it just doesn't work, so I don't understand, so I'll have to. Hopefully, that'll get addressed in Super or something. I don't know.
Well, it's my fault, and it's probably your fault too. But we know the competition's on PS3, and we really should at least take an hour before tournament time to acclimate ourselves to the PS3.
Yeah.
And part of my good performance at Aerial Rave, I do a tribute to actually sitting down the night before and the day of and playing some PS3. Street Fighter 4 and getting the feel for it. I was hitting my combos that day, and I was just playing a really smart game, and my reaction times were good that day, so it did well.
Now, when you first started, you were picking El Fuerte, right? When the game first came out.
Yeah, the first thing I did when I got the game was I loaded up training mode, and I spent an hour learning RSF, and I got 4 reps within the first hour, so I was pretty happy.
Awesome. And obviously, I don't think I even have to ask you what drew you away from El Fuerte.
It's hard to win.
Yeah, I looked at like the character list of they had like the overall rankings of most winning and most losing characters in terms of tournaments, and he's below Vega, which is shocking. So I would not. I would encourage, if you want to play El Fuerte, do it, but it doesn't seem like it would be a great investment of your time if you want to start playing tournaments.
No, El Fuerte can definitely win. He's definitely a force in that game, but only in the right hands, and those aren't my hands. So
I gotcha.
Can I RSF? Sure. But am I consistent with it? No. If you can't consistently get 5 or 6 reps, you should not be playing that character competitively. Because that is crucial to his game. Being able to capitalize huge off of his opportunities is extremely crucial.
Right.
And
I mean, most people just think it's knock him down and spam retarded mix-ups all day. And this, I notice whenever I'm playing anybody, there's a guy, a local player around here from Kentucky, who has since switched to Ryu, and that when he was first playing against people, he'd do the typical knockdown, and was working on a lot of people who have no El Fuerte experience. But the second you realize you can focus,
backdash, we're focused,
you can backdash, and you can neutral jump, and all this.
Yep.
It's like once you start deleting those options from, they don't know what to do. So I can see why people get away. I
developed kind of some footsies with Forte and some basics and things like that I could use with standing medium punch, and his slide is actually really good, but and his forward medium kick is crazy. But, in the end, it was just like, this character probably could have used 100 more health, and this and this. It's just like, you got to play a character you like. If you're not having fun, there's no point.
Right. That's why I switched from Rufus. I just stopped liking him. So.
And what happens is that if you have a character you like in a game where that character is higher tier, don't sell yourself short. Play the higher tier character. And I ended up really liking Seth. And it turns out that Seth is one of the higher tiered characters. Yeah, and I was like, I have no choice. I have to pick him.
Where would you put him? And would you put him a little bit obviously, I think almost everybody by now has agreed that Sagat and Ryu are two best characters in the game.
I would put Akuma right next to them. Actually,
yeah, I would put Akuma up there too. Those roundhouse loops are freaking ridiculous. But. Where would you put Seth there? Would you put him right after? Would you put him a little bit under,
Earlier,
Rufus,
in the first couple months, I would have had Seth in, 3rd or 4th spot. But people have kind of learned how to fight him. And some of his weaknesses have become more clear. And right now, I'm going to say he's probably, 8th or 9th best. But he's still really good.
Yeah, that's... In a game like Street Fighter 4 where it's a little more
he only has a couple matchups that are really scary for him.
Which would be?
Viper is terrifying.
Really?
Yeah, because you can't really trap her because she can change her trajectory in the air.
Oh, okay.
And the Sonic Boom recovery is too slow, so she can kind of on reaction pound the ground when you throw one. And it's a tough match for him.
That's interesting.
A lot of times you go up in the air to dominate, and you get hit with flame kicks, and she only has to hit you with 4 of those to win. So it's a cruddy match. Rufus is actually terrifying as well.
I would say Rufus is scary, but it's also from
on
Rufus'
paper
standpoint, it's annoying. It's so annoying for him because I
think
know
about
Seth
it. Think about it. I know you played Rufus, but think about it. Seth dominates Rufus on paper,
right?
But to be in the position to dominate Rufus, you do have to go into the air somewhat frequently.
Yeah, and that one
and
bad
if you make
guess,
one wrong guess and he happens to hit jumping hard kick into Ultra, you may have just lost.
Yeah, you were probably commentating or either watching it at Evo when I felt so bad for Arturo because I really thought he was after seeing him play, I really thought he was going to be maybe top 3, I thought he might have a chance to beat Justin that day.
Yep.
But Marn just gets a full screen roundhouse regular Messiah kick that just so happens to hit a limb and go into all. I sat there just shaking my head. How
that's
horrible.
how you fight Seth though. Sometimes you have to do just random shit.
Yeah.
And if you trade or if you hit, you're the winner.
I talked to Josh about that, and he's like, with Rufus, you just got to be really random and.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's,
jump around like a fucking idiot.
That's so weird. That a matchup the matchup is to be random. You would never.
Well, look at the
that.
health difference, man. Look at the health difference. Rufus has the second most in the game, and Seth has the least.
Right.
So really, it's a trade game. You're really just looking to get lucky. Because on paper, you lose that
I
fight
hate
horribly.
fighting that fight though because of that. Like you're just like the very words are just like I don't want to rely on luck to win, but you know I guess you have to with Rufus. So in that
Yeah,
situation.
and you don't have to get as lucky as you think either. I mean,
That's
you're
true.
talking about flipping a coin. Probably in that matchup, you're flipping that coin 12 to 15 times, and you only have to get heads once or twice to win.
That's true.
You know.
Now, is there any set specifics you'd like to go over? Like, you know, what are some of his weaknesses? I've heard that he doesn't really have a good mid-range game. That you know.
I don't know if I should really talk about this.
If you don't, okay, you don't have to give away all your secrets to beating.
No,
Seth,
it's fine.
you know,
It's fine. I believe in sharing information.
Okay.
It depends on your character, obviously, but if you have a decent walk speed, you want to bulldog Seth, and by bulldog I mean walk at him like a fearless motherfucker. Okay? You don't want to let him get his ultra, so you want to beat him lightly until he's very close to getting ultra, and then you want to try and finish it in one combo. If he gets his ultra, if you really feel like you can't bait it out and avoid it, you need to let it hit you and deal with the mix-up afterwards. Don't let him chip you to death while you're trying to avoid it, and then hit it eventually, which he will, and then do the mix-up afterwards, because then you might already be dead or have run the clock out. Just get in there and do your thing. Move forward at him, and if he jumps straight up, focus and then dash. So you can absorb the punch, the hard punch, and then keep moving in on him. And then he'll be scared, because he really only has like 2 pokes that he's going to try and keep you out with. Standing medium kick and maybe standing medium punch occasionally, crouching medium punch. But
how's the recovery on his is it just normal fears from full screen or crouching fears? No, it's normal fears.
The standing
the
fears,
the stretchy
coverage
arms.
is not great. A lot of characters can punish that with all kinds of things. They just don't know about it.
Okay.
Like Balrog can punish that with a rush punch if he's got a charge.
Huh.
And I mean, to play a good Seth, you have to be more aware of what your opponent has and what they can do at the time. You have to look for them to be random. You have to recognize right away whether your opponent knows how to fight Seth or not. If they don't, you just shenanigan them. If they do, you have to look for their randomness and try and punish.
They seem like a very reactive character.
Yeah, and I'm not the best at figuring out what kind of player my opponent is right away, so probably one of my weaknesses there. But certainly, if you're not moving forward on Seth, if you're letting him keep you away because you're scared of him damaging you, you're playing it wrong, because his damage doesn't matter. You have more life than him. It doesn't matter who you picked. You have more life than him. Get in there.
When it comes to his going for playing as Seth, when it comes to going for his stun, would you on any character recommend getting in there when you think you have the opportunity to really stun them and trying to do your mix-ups? Like what's a good smart time to mix up, and what's a good time just to hold back and be doing that zoning?
Well, sometimes part of the mix-up is holding back. People who complain about getting random SRK'd out of their block strings and stuff haven't realized this yet. But why don't you just do your jump in, hit crouching jab twice, and then block. See what happens. Hey, maybe they'll dragon punch, and then maybe you can rape them when they land.
Right.
And
I listen to my opponent's stick a lot when I play next to them. You know,
and when I coach people too, one of the things I tell them is you need to learn when it's appropriate to be offensive and when it's time to turtle up. Because some of the guys I teach just want to run at you all day, and sometimes that's not the answer. Sometimes you got to recognize a situation that's puts you in an advantage and just stand back and let the opponent screw up. And that's just something you have to learn from experience, and it helps when people tell you about it, things like that. Josh Queen's calling me right now. What are the odds? Hold on a second. I'm going to answer this on the radio here. Josh Queen. What? Can you hear him at all? Hang on a second. I'm going to put him on speaker.
Oh, please do.
Okay. Can you hear this? Josh, say something.
Hey, it's Josh Queen.
Yeah, I'm on the radio with Action Hank. And you just happen to call right now. I don't think you can hear him because he's being fed into my ear, but he can hear you.
Oh, hey Adam.
What's up?
Actually, the reason you called, I was going to see if you were planning on coming down here for the holidays, because I am running that tournament the 19th, and if you needed to stay in town, I could just shack you up either at my place, or you could use that time to visit your dad and your other dad during the holiday.
Gotcha. So I'm being invited to Cincinnati. Are you buying me a plane ticket?
Us, Gamma, for the audience at home, coming up soon.
Are you splitting a plane ticket with me?
Find me some ticket prices. I might do that actually.
Okay, we'll talk. I gotta go though.
Okay.
Hit me up on AIM, Josh.
All right.
Bye. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Josh Queen, always hilarious. Josh Queen, for those of you who, I'm sure you'll recognize him. He is what has now been dubbed as the French fry guy from Evo.
That is bullshit too, and I want to scold anyone who gave him shit over that because he was doing his job and he was doing it well, and you guys ran up the stream for it, and that's that. I'm really fucking pissed about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually a little bit get on the whole stream thing. But before we close off on Street Fighter 4, so how was your aerial rave experience? Who'd you play? Did anybody super notable that you went up against, or?
I played Seth exclusively. I didn't really. I mean, I played Shikaib Skeef.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
And,
Third Strike.
He knew I played Seth, so I don't know why he picked Geef. Maybe he thought I didn't know what was up. But I knew right away.
Did he try to neutral jump headbutt you or something?
Yes, round one start. Guess exactly what he did. Up fierce.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, now I know from that you know this matchup, and I'm going to play it as such. And I shut him out 2-0. Like, he barely touched me.
Awesome.
So he sat there for a good minute. Then he looked at me, and then he picked Sagat. And I made it close, but he got me. He sent me to losers. So that was really unfortunate because I almost had him. I'm pretty sure I screwed up an input that would have won it for me.
That sucks.
I felt really bad because I double eliminated NKI, and he doesn't even really play that game. Even if he did play it more, he doesn't know the Seth matchup, and he was jet lagged to hell because he had just come back from Japan. So he looked so tired, and I felt so bad, like, doing the stupid Seth mix-ups on him because I know he had no idea what was going on. But he said that he didn't take it personally, so that was nice. And, actually in the top 8, I had to play Evil Rashawn right away.
That was the guy who won it, right? He's the
and he plays Seth,
guy.
so he knows. And we were talking a while, and I know he spent a while thinking about how to counterpick me, and he picked perfectly. He double counterpicked me.
Huh.
He picked Viper, and not only does Viper counter Seth, in my opinion, but Viper counters me because I've never played against a good Viper in tournament.
Right.
So that kind of, he put me down fast. I won a round, but I really didn't know how to handle the situation, and I probably would have needed 5 or 6 matches against him in a row to really start to get a handle on what I was supposed to be doing there. So, unfortunate, but that's okay. And then I entered HD Remix, which got 12 entries, which is horrible.
What the hell?
And I also, and I also entered King of Fighters 12, which also got 12 entries.
Okay,
so King of
that,
Fighters
that
12
makes
is
more
an
sense.
entry in the HD Remix.
That makes more sense to me, though, that KOF didn't get that many entries. I think
I
they
got
really dropped
third.
the ball with 12.
I got third in KOF on my day 1 basics. Was wrecking people with Andy, doing a really simple frame trap over and over. And then in HDR, I think I got 5th. I was doing really well. I was playing really well against everybody, even the good dictators there. I think Cammy does well against Dictator. But the Claw player shut me out really bad. And I forget his name, but I've never been able to fight Claw in that game with any character. It's pretty much free win against me. If you're a decent Claw, you win.
Yeah. Was NKI there? Speaking of Bison players?
Yep. He got I think he got 2nd or 3rd. He was really tired, like I said.
Oh, that's
Not game.
I'm sorry, I forgot you mentioned him earlier. But okay, so kind of winding down SF4, just kind of hypothetical here. If Tatsunoko does become tourney popular and you start getting some decent entrants for it, will you still play I know you're a generalist, so will you still play the SF4 series?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially now, my big turnoff to Street Fighter 4 is not all the baby complaints that everybody puts out there. It's too turtly. I don't like the mashing. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Learn to play. My complaint with Street Fighter 4 is there's not a character that I'm really attached to. I'm not really feeling it with anybody. Like, I enjoy Seth and I enjoy Forte, but they both really play on my weaknesses and make me lose more than I need to.
Is there any character you're looking at in Super that might be a remedy?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, I'll be maining Cody and Ibuki. And maybe if what I see of Haken, the rumored oil wrestler, is cool, I might try him too. But I got 3 prospects.
That's cool.
Always wanted to learn Cody, but I hate Alpha 3, and that's the only game he's in. I always wanted to learn Ibuki in Third Strike, but I don't really like Third Strike, so there's a problem. And she's one of the more complex characters in that game as well.
Yeah.
And then, now they're in an engine that I'm comfortable with, and really am fond of the character design. So yeah, definitely, man.
Cool.
I'm really excited about Super 4. I think it's going to be really amazing.
Yeah, and then I guess with Street Fighter as a first attempt, we were talking about this on AIM.
Yes.
I guess just kind of go over that, like remind the viewers why you think it's...
You guys all compare Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. These are late iterations. Street Fighter 4 is the first iteration in its series. So if you want to accurately compare it to other games, really you should compare it to Street Fighter 2 World Warriors or Street Fighter 3 New Generation or Tekken 1. Mm-hmm. It's like those games are terrible.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter 4 is pretty good by comparison. And if you give them 3 tries, I'm sure it's going to be one of the best games we've ever seen. Wait till Street Fighter 4 third try. And
third try.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty crazy how good that gets after a couple iterations. If the first one was that solid.
I would agree. Okay, so moving on to Evo. How was your Evo experience? I know I ran into you a couple times. We got to play with TVC, but
barely, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like 2 in the morning at that point. And,
Evo experience is the right word because that's what it is.
It's an experience.
You're not going there to become the champion of Street Fighter.
Right.
Most people don't legitimately think that is why you're going there. You're going there to be a part of something that's just totally amazing. It's an experience that I can barely describe to you. That if you love fighting games, that you should have in your life. You should be there. And fortunately for you, Evo's been in Vegas for quite some time now, and Vegas happens to be one of the, if not the, cheapest places to travel to and stay in the world.
Yeah, it was not that bad, actually, in terms of... the only thing that really destroyed my wallet was a little bit of gambling here, and a little bit of alcohol, and a lot of food. The food is what really killed me.
The food is expensive, yeah.
But
you can eat cheap if you do your research.
That's true. I just couldn't walk to In-N-Out Burger.
Exactly. And if you start in your room, if you stay with 4 people or more, and you split the cost of the room down the middle, I mean, there's just tons of ways you can go to Evo on the cheap, and you really owe it to yourself to be there. You're not going there to win.
Right.
You think you're going there to win. You're going there. It's like going to the Super Bowl. You're not going there to win the Super Bowl. You're going there to watch the greatest players in the world and feel the energy in the room. Sharing a room with 2,000 or 3,000 other people who love what you love, there's nothing like that.
Right.
There really isn't.
So you mainly did. I know you played. You played in Street Fighter 4, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay. But I know most people are gonna recognize you for your commentating. So what are some of the challenges that you get as a commentator? What's tough to get done, and what's tough to really. What are the hardships, I guess, of being behind the announcer's desk trying to watch these games?
Well, let's see, where do I start? There's a lot. I mean, streaming is not where it needs to be yet. You're very limited by both the equipment you have on hand and by the bandwidth allowed to you. A lot of these places are streaming over wireless because they have no other option, and they want to show you what they've got. And then people are complaining that the frame rate's bad. It's like, of course the frame rate's bad. They're streaming over wireless, and there's nothing they can do about it. But they're not charging you money for it. You should be happy that you're seeing anything.
Right.
Go back a decade, and we didn't even have YouTube. You would hunt for an entire year to find a copy of a copy of a copy of a VHS cassette of a few guys from the West Coast playing.
Yeah.
That was the only glimpse of high-level play you'd ever see. Now it's being streamed to your living room, and you're complaining about the frame rate.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, come on, they're doing the best they can with what they've got. They really are. Every single stream is. No one is there just doing a half-assed job.
Yeah, I thought
that's just.
I thought the Cannons put in some overtime there.
Oh yeah, it's not in the nature of someone who wants to stream an event to do a half-assed job. They're taking all the equipment they can muster, And that shit's expensive, and people aren't, really willing to donate that stuff. And they're taking the connection that they're given, and they're putting together the best thing that they can for you. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as commentating goes, it's a different ballgame depending on where you go. If I go to Seasons Beatings and I'm asked to do commentating, they want me to curse and use light racial slurs and use community buzzwords like Pringles and Mortons, and they want that.
Although
that's the hard. That's for the community.
I am officially sick of Mortons, and
yes, it's horrible.
I think a term is only funny when it's obscure and not used as often as every other.
But that's beside the point.
Right.
The one of the big complaints we got on the Evo stream was mostly from the hardcore people, and it's that we weren't speaking their language, and that was on purpose. At the Evo stream, we basically did it like a sports cast. We tried to keep almost all the cussing and racial slurs out. We wanted to be as family-friendly as possible, and we tried to explain the game on an extremely basic level with basic words.
Yeah.
We weren't using your everyday Shoryuken.com expressions that you all have come to know and love. All these abbreviations and FADC. Who would know what FADC means if they just happened to be on Joystick that weekend and saw a link to the Evolution stream and decided to pop in for a minute and see what was up?
Yeah.
Now, quality sportscast-like commentary, we have a much bigger chance of getting those people to stick around for an hour, or maybe 2 hours, or maybe suddenly they want to buy the game.
I know.
Or maybe suddenly they want to get competitive.
I know Josh was saying, not to interrupt, but he was saying that you guys were also told not to do complete play-by-play.
Correct. You can see what's happening on the screen. We're not supposed to tell you jab, fierce, throw attempt, whiff the throw, low, blocks low, jumps.
I would agree. That's what makes, I think, commentary for these streams and for tournaments kind of annoying is when somebody does just a complete play-by-play.
People have different tastes and people have different styles and things like that. Some people like to hear that. Some people don't. But our goal for the Evo stream specifically, because I was in charge of the entire commentating crew, was number one, no direct play-by-play. Number two, be analytical. Mm-hmm. And number three, explain it in a common language. So we're talking about what the players are thinking and what they're doing, rather than what's happening on the screen. And then one of the other things, too, was we were under strict instruction to fill time. You can't, if there's nothing on the screen, you can't just sit there and stare at the camera and say nothing.
Right.
And that happens on a lot of these streams because a lot of the guys get busy, and they've got the same guy directing the stream who's also directing part of the tournament and who's also doing commentating, and he gets distracted. Mm-hmm. But with us, it was like, if you're in front of the camera, say something. It doesn't matter what it is. We don't want dead air. And Josh Queen was doing his job.
Yes.
There was literally nothing to talk about right then. There was a technological failure with one of the systems up on the stage. They were fixing it, and it was going to take 15 to 20 minutes to get another match broadcasted to your living room. Mm-hmm. So he started talking about Vegas, and he started talking about the Foodie 8 and the French fries and how delicious they were.
They were delicious.
And people got super upset because he talked about French fries instead of Street Fighter. And it's like, hey, if he wasn't talking about French fries, you would have been staring at a blank screen.
Right.
And I really think everybody should PM him and apologize if they said anything bad about him.
I don't think anybody should have to forcibly apologize.
No,
to Josh Queen. No. But that's just because we know
he gave you many hours of his free time on his vacation that weekend.
That's true. He did.
He sat in front of that camera to talk to you to keep you entertained instead of going to have fun for himself.
Yeah.
And he got attacked for it because he talked about French fries for 10 minutes, and that's really not fair.
Yeah, I agree. Now, do you think...
yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenges, too, is the criticism. It's hard to work the entire weekend,
right,
that was supposed to be your vacation, and then come onto the internet and see people bad-mouthing you.
It seems
like you did or didn't do this.
It seems like the people, if you're really just trying to, be entertaining in your own way, or, try to do what you said, like a kind of sportscaster kind of, covers all bases job for, people who don't understand to understand. I feel like with these streams anymore, the popular hosts aren't really saying anything at all. They're just, using catchphrases or,
right, they're just trying to be fun.
Right. I think
that's fine if you're doing that style of cast, but the Evo cast needed to be more professional because, hey, we're trying to attract sponsors. Yeah. We're trying to attract a common viewer who's not going to understand why Morton's is funny.
Right.
And, my biggest job at the commentator's table at Evo was not to provide direct insight myself sometimes, but it was to ask leading questions. So like for Soul Calibur specifically, we would sit down an expert, and my job was to ask him a leading question, such as why does this work, to get him to explain to the viewer in a common language what's going on. And I got a lot of flack for that too. They were like, he didn't really say anything, intelligent, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that wasn't my job at the time. My job at the time was to make color comments, so either a quick joke or a quick insight, and to ask the experts leading questions to get them on topic for the viewer. I was basically a moderator.
Yeah, I think there was a really good job done about bringing in people who were top players or experts in the community, the respective communities, and getting them in there. Except for Third Strike, I feel like Evo just kind of wanted to get Third Strike done and over with because I think they just want to move on from that game. But I felt like honestly, I think Rockefeller's hilarious, and if he's put in an environment like Evo and told not to, be typical Rockefeller, he still has a lot of information he knows about the game, and he
just wasn't giving it.
Yeah, he wasn't. Well, I felt like he really didn't have a chance to give it. He tried to a couple times, but I felt like the other announcers were kind of, bulldogging him on the microphone. But it was also 10 o'clock in the morning. Most of the Third Strike players, I only saw...
Yeah. I like the guy, but I tried really hard to get him on topic, and he and the other guy I had with me for Third Strike really were more interested in joking around, which is fine for a normal stream, and I thought it was hilarious too, but we were, if someone random had decided to tune in to see some high-level Street Fighter action at that time in the morning, they would have been hearing jokes about this guy's wife, and they don't know this guy, so that's not funny to them, and it's just like, it depends on the stream. You got to understand that each stream is going to have a different focus in what it wants out of its commentating. Some of them are going to go real inside community hardcore stuff with in-jokes for you, and then other ones are going to go the more professional sportscast route, and they're just trying to feed basic information to anyone who might stop by and watch.
Yeah, and now on the reverse there, how was your Seasons Beatings experience as far as commentating went? And
I was actually only on briefly. I did a couple mornings. I sat down for 10 to 15 minutes to say hi to everybody and tell them what was going on with TVC. I did a little bit of the tops. I did 8 of the top 16 for Street Fighter 4. Which, it's a much more relaxed environment, and my job was different there. I wasn't the moderator, I was suddenly the color guy. So my job was to let Seth do the play-by-play and then throw in some analysis or some insight or some comments. And that's what I did. And, that's a more fun job for me than moderating, believe me.
Yeah, it seemed like the Seasons Beatings guys were, the people running the stream were definitely into it and were having a lot more fun with it.
Yeah, but you gotta do what your job is. And at Evo, last year my job was to make sure someone was saying something at all times.
Right.
And I think I did pretty well.
With these streams, do you think Street Fighter 4 is getting a little too... I know it's the new hot game, but do you think it's getting a little too much attention? Like, do you feel like some of these older games that have a really rich community don't get played enough, and don't get enough, I guess...
I can see how it would feel that way to someone like you who's a little newer to the community, but to an old fart like me, I'm sick of seeing those games. I really am sick of seeing Third Strike finals that are filled with 5 Chuns out of 8.
It's true.
And it's just, we finally got new fighting games. We waited almost a decade for this, with the exclusion of Guilty Gear still coming out yearly and all that. Yeah, it's time to focus on the new stuff. Let's move on. Well, it would be spectacular if Evo this year was all new games. None of the old stuff. The old stuff still has its place, but those games have been played out. We've seen what the highest levels of those games have to offer. But there's still a lot to learn about these other games. But what's interesting is the games develop a lot faster now.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I
figure out what the real top characters were in Marvel 2, it took years.
Yeah.
But to figure that out in
Fighter
4 was right away, 3 months.
I feel like I know a lot more overall about Street Fighter 4 than I knew about Third Strike in the same time window that I've been playing it.
It's the forums, and it's YouTube, and it's the streams, and it's just all this information about other playstyles and other things that people have figured out suddenly coming to you that you didn't have access to before. And that's really cool, which means we're going to need new games more often to keep it fresh. And to get that, we're going to need to show our support by purchasing them, even if we don't love them. And I think people did that with Street Fighter 4. Everybody plays it, even if they don't like it.
Yeah,
you know.
A lot of people do. It's true.
But you should do that with TVC as well. And you should do that with Super Street Fighter 4 as well. And you should do that with BlazBlue, Continuum Shift, or whatever it was as well.
No.
Buy a copy, even if you, hey, if you
I
gotta
refuse.
I know how you feel, but if you're not going to support the scene financially, then the people who make the people who make these games, if you can't support them financially, they'll just stop making them, and then you'll go back to playing the same game for a decade. And I'm not really so sure that that's desirable.
Yeah. Okay, to wrap up the stream thing, who is your favorite person that you have commentated with so far? Is there anybody that stands out that you really just enjoyed?
Yeah, Ski Sonic and I have great synergy. We work really well together, and that was one of the reasons we were picked for the Evo stream in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's not just having two people who commentate well next to each other. It's having two people who play well off of each other. Mm-hmm. And, in that regard, me, Ski, and Seth work really marvelously together. All three of us have a good synergy independently with each other. So you could sit me and Seth down, Ski and Seth down, or me and Ski down, and you'd have a good pair at any time. Because we all just get along so well, and we play well off of each other's senses of humor, and we each offer our own unique brand of insight as well, so we're not really overlapping each other's train of thought or train of speech at any given time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely Ski is my favorite, followed closely by Seth, of course, and I haven't really gotten to sit down with too many other people, but Seb was pretty fun to talk to as well. So.
Okay, and so I guess just to wrap things up, it was really a great episode. Glad I got a hold of you when I did.
Sure.
So we talked about TVC and some specifics there and some sets.
Buy it, people. Buy it.
Yeah, I you know what, I definitely like TVC. It's just the whole Wii thing that's holding me back. But if some friends will get into it, I will definitely sit down and play it with them if they do pop it out. Just to do a quick plug for you, your ties. I know. What are those? Tell the people how they can get them.
Sure. There's a thread on the traders forums. There's also a link to it in my profile or my signature on the forum. So if you ever see a post by me, there's a link right there. But you can place an order that way. My girlfriend makes a custom solid image necktie. It's a very unique product. Instead of having a pattern over it, it's just one large single color image. So far, we've pretty much just done silhouettes of Street Fighter characters, but we can do anything.
I noticed you had your Aracune tie.
Yep. Well, it's still a fighting game character, but we can do anything. Right. She made a rubber ducky themed one with yellow ink on a black tie for her sister to give to a friend. And,
I think I might buy one from you, and I think I'm going to get myself.
That'd be cool.
Get me on a tie. That would be awesome.
Oh, we can do it. So, it's kind of a geek chic type of product. Not many people are going to wear, but if that's your niche, and you want to look nice and goofy, if you want to look nice and goofy at the same time, like me, then we do sell the ties. And I know the price can seem a little steep, but these are done with a lot of handwork. I can't even tell you how many hours goes into each one. We're actually probably cutting ourselves pretty short on the price. But, people are pretty pleased with the products. We sold, I think 30 of them at Evo this year. Everybody who worked at Capcom bought one. All of the Capcom community manager guys. And, there's a Rufus design now, if you're interested, that we did not have at Evo because Justin Wong himself commissioned that one and bought it. And it's beautiful. It looks beautiful. It's him in his alternate outfit doing the raise the roof pose.
Awesome.
It's actually created from a screen cap in the game, so it's extremely accurate looking.
Awesome.
And we can do whatever you want. So if you want a penis on a tie, we can do that. If you want your own face on a tie, we can make that happen. If you want an airplane on there, whatever. Just let us know. We'll work with you.
That sounds awesome.
And yeah, it's something you can wear to a convention or whatever, and really turn a lot of heads.
Okay, so just to wrap up, I'm going to do this. I think this is going to become a fun little theme. I noticed some people doing it on SRK, and I definitely wanted to adopt it into my interviews. I did this with Zach, so I have a free association section. Just,
Oh boy.
It's just I'm just gonna give you a phrase, and the first thing that comes to mind, just throw it out there, you know. So here we go. One Piece,
Oh, godlike.
Gold Lightan,
Godlike.
Alpha 3,
Cody.
09 member,
Banned.
Kane's Chicken,
Kane's Chicken, delicious.
and Yuri.
Yuri Sakazaki or Yuri as in...
Yuri Super Street Fighter 4.
Juri.
Jury, whatever.
Rita Repulsa.
I never noticed that before. Now I see
Yeah,
it.
the hair's the same. It's
all right,
so...
that was all the free association.
Oh,
Rita
come on,
Repulsa.
more. That was fun.
I only, I can only think of so many off the top of my head. I only do like.
I thought
5
you
or
said
6.
Yuri, like either Yuri from King of
I thought
Fighters
that's how
or
it's
Yuri as
pronounced.
in lesbian hentai.
I thought that's how it's. Oh, no.
No, it's Juri. J-O,
Juri?
like,
Okay.
yeah, Juri, yeah.
All right, that's now I got it right because there's Uni and Yuli, but they're also like German-inspired names. So I figured she was pronounced the same, but guess not. So. Well, all right. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
As always.
Thanks for having me on.
Hopefully, we'll meet up at some tournament in the future. I don't know if I'll be able to make Midwest Championships this year.
Well, convince Josh Queen to fly me down to Cincinnati this month, and I'll see you there.
Yeah, do it. I don't know if I can do that, but I will try. But if not, I'll see you around for sure.
All right, take it easy, man.
All right, take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.